Hey everyone, this is TrueLove with another One Piece chapter review, this time for chapter 1074. I'm going to be spoiling the hell out of this chapter. If you haven't read it yet, go read it and come back here. Now that you have, let's get right into it. Okay, so first up, this chapter is titled Mark III, which we're going to find out later is the name of the newest iteration of the pacifistas. This cover story, I found it really funny, and it's actually the 30th edition of this cover story. Queen, Judge, and Caesar are fighting amongst themselves. Queen's getting punched in the face. Caesar's getting stabbed through his body, through his gaseous Logia body. I love these guys. I can't wait to see where this is actually heading. All right, onto the chapter. It begins with a battle between sort of the fodder guys from CP0 and one of the new pacifista. I actually really like how these CP0 like grunts look. They remind me of Whole Cake Island when everyone was dressed up like gangsters. The first thing we see is this new pacifista with a slimy bubble shield coming out of his hand where Kuma has his little paw print. Like the last chapter's cover page, I like seeing this side of Vegapunk's inventions, how they're sort of defensive inventions that are used in battle. This new bubble shield is strong enough to block a rocket attack and send it straight back at the guy who shot it at him, also blowing up a building, but it happens, collateral. The new pacifista come with new outfits and they're very similar to the police one we saw at the start of Egghead. These ones have badass sunglasses though as well, kind of like Top Gun-esque. It hasn't really occurred to me how, I haven't really thought about it, how Vegapunk would make the pacifista keep up with everyone, with now we're in the end game of One Piece, how to make them really carry some kind of weight, how to make them be more of a threat at this stage of it. The first version of them was way back before the time skip, so to see them also growing and being upgraded and obviously not keeping pace with Luffy, but keeping pace with the story is awesome. It's also believable because Vegapunk is obviously at the cutting edge of science. It really does make sense in the world. Sentomaru, poor guy, he is licking his wounds. He's seen talking into a Den Mushi and he actually activates 50 of these new pacifista who all activate in sync like Terminators and head off to help the Straw Hats get to their ship. I really wish that Sentomaru could just use one of them to pick him up and carry him to the ship with him, or to the control room. We're going to see later that the control room is quite packed at the minute, so maybe he wouldn't even fit. But I would really like it if he could escape with them as well. So we're back in the control room now, and there's an important little comment here from Luffy. He's saying that he's tired. He's got his tongue hanging out. He's tired and he's hungry after his running around and the fights and going into Gear 5th against Lucci. It's important that that's been made clear because it's showing us that he's not at 100% right now. So if an admiral rocked up, so his fighting capabilities are going to be effective. They're going to be affected. Also, just a little reminder, putting it back in our heads, the Gear 5th does drain Luffy. We're constantly being shown that. Stussy, Brook, and Zoro arrive in the control room to meet up with the Straw Hats. And can we take a moment to check out their outfits? I love them. Brook's helmet is so cool. Zoro's jacket and the 3 swords on the back. I don't know when we've seen Zoro with the swords on his back. They look so cool with his jacket. Stussy's in bikini bottoms and stuff for some reason. all the female characters post time skip, like when they were dressed up like beast pirates and everything. They're all kind of similar. She's got bikini bottoms on. I don't know, man. It's not really my thing. I know it's kind of fan service as well, but yeah, I'm just not into it. They also have with them the sleeping bodies of Lucci and Kaku. We get a wide angle, is what I was talking about before, of the control room. It's very busy. There's all the Vegapunk clones, Straw Hats, sleeping members of CP0, Stussy. Some of the satellites, some of the Vegapunk clones are actually massive as well. I didn't realize how big they were. So whilst everyone wants to go and find Stella, which is still missing somewhere with Bonnie, we know that the characters don't. Luffy and Zoro decide to stay behind to guard Lucci and Kaku. I kind of do wish that Sanji stayed back with them too, so that he could be in a more forward position and a more, ready for action position for when Kizaru and Saturn rock up. But he decides he needs to go with Stussy. He's got hard eyes, he's, Stussy-chan, which is completely in character for him, so he can't be that upset. This is exactly how we expect Sanji to act. But Sanji vs. Lucci or Sanji vs. Kaku would also be so cool, especially with Sanji's new speed feats against Queen. We thought he was going invisible, but it's just his speed. I'm assuming he'd probably stomp them with, mid to low difficulty. Who knows? Yeah, and thinking of that, I know Luffy and Zoro fought together on the roof in Onigashima, but when was the last time we had those two teaming up for a fight? I can't remember. So we get another ninja cut to Bonnie, who's wandering through this grassy field, which is obviously the memories from her father that he had expelled from himself. She's watching a young Kuma, her father, who he's curled up and he's clutching at his hair, he's weeping, he's shivering. I genuinely feel sadness and hurt and stress seeing the posture and the way that he's shivering, young Kuma here, the distress in his face. But I also want to pause here for a second to point out how much I love that we're getting a different style of flashback. It's really interesting seeing the Kuma flashback not through our eyes as, weekly Shonen Jump readers, but through Bonnie's eyes in a little section of the chapter as she's walking around. So instead of like with Kazuki, Odin, or Big Mom's flashbacks that took over the entirety of One Piece for months at a time, it looks like we're going to get drip-fed the story of Kuma's past. We see Bonnie escape the memory later on, so maybe this is all we're going to see for now. And this is Oda's way of keeping the pace up. We've had a super, super fast pace, and having a flashback in this way through Bonnie is going to keep that speed. So back to Kuma, back to young Kuma. He's being beaten half to death. Guys using bats and stuff. There's three shadowy figures, there's all kind of like silhouettes. It's so traumatic, this flashback. Like his teeth are knocked out. He's shrieking in pain. He's got tears streaming down the face. He's just absolutely terrified. Like I said, I haven't had such an emotional response from reading manga in a while, man. Like these guys are telling Kuma if he doesn't go back, then they're gonna kill him. Like they're gonna kill them, not Kuma. They're gonna kill someone that he knows. And we can also see silhouettes of celestial dragons. So we're thinking that the dragons are the ones that are going to do the killing. Bonnie is looking, she's crying as well, looking on with her hands in her mouth, she's saying Yamete, which means stop. You guys probably know that. Before she just goes, wow, and flies backwards. It looks like she's expelled. It doesn't look like she's controlling it. She's getting shot backwards out of the giant floating paw that we saw last chapter. And she's shook. Now she's on the ground, shaking. We quickly get a flash to present time Kuma, who's gritting his teeth as he's climbing, still climbing up the red line. But back to the lab, and Edison is walking around. We know that the Frontier Dome defenses have gone down for a second time, but Edison can't actually repair them. And also Shaka is trying to repair them, which could be suspicious, because if he's the one who's in control and can repair them, maybe he's the one that's bringing them down. He explains if they're trying to escape right now, they're just going to get shot by CP0, which I highly doubt if these guys would be in any danger at all from the fodder guys of CP0, but for the sake of the story, we're just gonna have to take this as gospel. What else? Like Lilith she's impulsive, she's violent, she wants to fight, so maybe it's her that's like, the traitor that's sabotaging anything. A couple of chapters ago when she pulled that face when she was looking at Shaka, she's like, I hate your nice guy routine. So maybe that's a signal that she sees through him, that he's actually not the nice guy. But then again, Shaka predicted his own death right at the start of Egghead, and maybe that's to do with his betrayal, with him betraying the satellites, and who's going to have to pay the price. Who knows? Some people are saying that it's Shiryu of the Rain with his clear fruit. Like that would be dope. That would be so cool if Blackbeard pirates arrived at Egghead. Yeah. What about Caribou? Imagine, it could be Caribou. All right, so now it is big news time. The World Economy newspaper flying ship is flying through the sky, and Morgan's is either saluting, there's the dong sound effect, or he's like scratching his head as he's trying to come up with a headline for the events on Egghead and the Straw Hats' involvement. At first listen, they sound quite negative towards Luffy and the Straw Hats, like Luffy kidnaps Vegapunk. But remember, Morgan has always used his headlines and his kind of sway with society and the kind of like cultures to kind of low-key help the Straw Hats and Luffy and to kind of build up Luffy. He's also been seen belting a Cypher Pole agent. So it's entirely possible that he has an agenda to try and help, intimidate the world government into being fearful of Vegapunk's smarts and his weapons and inventions being used against them by a Yonko. As he's brainstorming ideas, we're treated to an amazing panel of Vivi hanging out with Wapol. I love Wapol. He's looking so unnerved and scared. He's got the kind of Looney Tunes, like two heads going on. He's angry at her. One head is looking angry at her for talking so loud, but he's also looking at the people behind him, really fearful, wondering if they're undercover Cypher Pole agents. We don't get told how he ended up with Vivi yet. Maybe he helped her escape. Probably he helped her escape. Maybe he got put in a position where he couldn't say no. I kind of doubt that he has had a face turn, become one of the good guys. Maybe he hit her in his mouth. Like, who knows? Like, how does Big News Morgan fit into it as well? Like, so this chapter has been kind of like an exhale, like a bit of a relax after the recent excitement. Some chapters set up all the playing pieces. Some chapters kind of put the characters in a checkmate move and a cliffhanger, and other chapters just pick up the whole board and fling them across the room. This is one of those setup chapters where we're getting everything in place so that the catalyst, something can happen to make the story really progress and have some more like exciting things happen. I can't wait. Every chapter for me is a 10 out of 10. I'm really easy to please, as you guys probably know. Yeah, so let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think about the trader? Who is it? What do you think about Kizaru arriving? What do you think about Saturn? Is he going to be a combatant or not? Saturn's like a god of war. So are the 50 Mark III Pacifista going to be a warm-up for them, maybe? I can't imagine them giving the main fighting guys any real trouble. I don't know, man. I will see you all next week. Bye.